Доброго дня. До слова
Good afternoon. Now the briefing of Presidential Administration spokesman on ATO-related issues, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Now, events in the ATO area during the last 24 hours. In Lugansk area, the enemy violated ceasefire 4 times. Heavy weapons were not used. Near Novo-Alexandrivka village, an enemy sniper was active. In Donetsk area, the situation remains tense. The militants continue shelling of Ukrainian positions with the use of heavy weapons. ATO forces in Avdiivka production area were shelled with the use of 122mm cannons, and after sunset the militants delivered precision fire of this position with the use of mortars and grenade launchers of different systems. The most hot area that was in Novgorodsk to the west of Gorlovka. The enemy launched 27 artillery shells and 45 large caliber mines. At the same time, Russian mercenaries opened fire with grenade launchers and small arms. Other hot areas are Svetlodarsk, where the enemy used APCs and mortar, and also the northern suburbs of Gorlovka, also the hottest area. So in the Donetsk area there were 12 enemy shellings. The day before yesterday at 11 p.m. In the region of Slavna village of Mariinsky region, the truck was blown up on a mine, and one Ukrainian serviceman died and 7 were wounded. Also, the enemy used arms near Toretsk, and they fired at residential areas, and the enemy used 152mm artillery. 7 residential houses were damaged. Fortunately, no residents suffered because of this accident. In Mariupol area, the epicenter of military actions is Krasnogorivka. The enemy launched about 50 mines during the last 24 hours and 15 artillery shells, and late in the evening the enemy used tank and APC. In Mariinka, no heavy weapon was used, but subversive groups were active and snipers also were active, and about 1 p.m. they stopped the attempt to storm our position, and the enemy was repelled. Also, a number of enemy provocations was delivered in Novotroitsk, where the enemy used mortars in Teremchuk, Mariinsky region, Talakivka, and Shirokina. On the whole, in Mariupol area, there were 31 enemy shelling, and half of which were the use of heavy weapons. These are mortars, artillery, and APCs. During the last 24 hours, 1 Ukrainian serviceman was killed in the course of the military actions, and it was informed before 1 more servicemen died because of truck was blown up. 10 Ukrainian servicemen were wounded. 1 was injured because of the booby trap, and 2 in the course of enemy shelling. So the losses are 2 killed servicemen and 10 wounded. Losses of the enemy: 2 militants were killed and 6 were wounded from 2 militant groups that are deployed in Mariinka and Gorlovka. These losses were sustained by the enemy because of the failed assault of the ATO positions in the region of Avdiivka. Also, the militant of 9th Detached Assault Motorized Regiment of the Marines of DPR died during a fire practice in the firing ground, and this death is hidden by the militants because there are commanders of the militant formations at the site. According to intelligence service information, Russia continues to supply military equipment and ammunition to the temporarily occupied territories. 5 trucks went to Sverdlovsk with ammunition. two tanks and 122 millimeter grad systems. And also railway cars went to Kharkiv, and they brought 6 tanks, 4 APCs, 152 millimeter self-propelled systems, Akatsiya, and 4 tanks with 200 tons of fuel and lubricant, and also the cars with ammunition of 160 tons, and 300 tons of fuel and lubricant materials went to Rovinky. Law enforcers continue to detain the militants. Police officers of Bakhmut town found a local resident who took part in the military armed formations. This man is 19-year-old guy who joined the militants of DPR, and he underwent a 50-day training. After this, he obtained the money and he went home. Then he didn't have money, and he came to the occupied territories, and he got into the basement of the militants. And then he returned to Bakhmut. Our law enforcers waited for him and seized him. And one more militant got his punishment. Kiev Regional Court of Kharkiv city sentenced one of the militants of LPR to 2 years imprisonment. During 2014-2015, the militant served among Cossacks and in so-called People's Police. He served at repair bases and artillery unit bases, and he served at checkpoints near Perevalsky and Antracit. SBU detailed this offender at a railway station of Kharkiv when he tried to go on vacation. Ukrainian servicemen continue intensive training. During the next 3 weeks, there will be competition for the title of the best student of the Faculty of Missile and Artillery Forces. Firstly, they will have theoretical examination, and then there will be some practical tasks. So this competition in National Academy of Landing of Land Troops is carried out for the first time, but this will be a yearly event. And also National Guard students were parachuted from Mi-8 helicopter, and for these 22 students, this was their first jump. And now they undergo intensive training in parachuting, and a new group of students will also undergo this training. Also, Anaconda 2016 continues, and our servicemen are represented there in Lithuanian, Polish, and Ukrainian brigade and by paratroopers. And there was an open day for everyone who wants to see the equipment and ammunition of Ukrainian Polish army. The guests also were provided some practical skills with first aid, and also there was a demonstration of the skills of Polish soldiers. And Ukrainian servicemen provide lessons for children, and school children from Lviv visited 18th Paratrooper Brigade. Children could see small arms and different type of equipment, and also they saw training, and also they tried to feel, they also see different equipment that is used, and also the serviceman has shown different equipment to them, including Humvee vehicle. Also, they saw an anti-aircraft weapon, and also they tried to carry out some tasks that are usually carried out by the servicemen. So, do you have some questions? There was information about one person who was wounded near Nova Alexandrivka, and they said there was a machine gun. Do you have more information on this? I can tell where this happened. So, one was killed in course of shelling in Zaitsevo. One died in the course of because he was blown up on a booby trap in Slavne. Wounded in Novoalexandrovka, Lugansk Oblast, and also one wounded in Krasnogorivka, one in because of the mine, Vasilivka Druga, and 7 wounded because a truck was blown up by a mine in Slavna. This is all information. So this was information. This information was provided for this period of 24 hours. So, do you have other questions? If there is no, thank you and goodbye.